Hello everyone, today I would like to present to you the concepts that you need to know to be able to maximize the value of the by ear series of apps. So the music by ear series of apps allows you to easily learn any musical instrument with little or without any previous musical knowledge whatsoever. The only thing that you really need is to have interest in it. So let's start. There are, however, a few concepts that you need to know to fully maximize the value that you're getting out of these apps, and to kind of have a general study plan so that you get progress as fast as possible. So if we are talking about music, we usually are talking about musical notes. This is a musical note with a key. And we're talking about musical instruments, all the other different instruments that we have in our series. And even if you don't find some instrument in the series, you can write to the support and we will introduce this instrument in a matter of a couple of weeks. So when you're talking about music, you're talking about the notes, the music itself, the sound of the music, yeah? And you're talking about the musical instruments, all the different musical instruments. Everyone, even once in a lifetime, has seen a piano. What is a piano? A piano is a keyboard that has a certain pattern. This is a schematic piano that we're drawing. So this is a piano, okay? Every time you press each of those notes, you get a sound. So suppose we played this, 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 okay? Everyone has heard that the piano actually has 7 notes, and music has 7 notes. And these are actually these 7 notes that I played to you. These are 7, okay? Actually, usually you have 5 more notes that are pressed with the black keys on the piano. All in all, you have 12 notes. The thing is that these 12 notes, they repeat themselves as many times as the piano is big. They are called an octave, from the Latin octo, which is 8, and which would be 7 notes, the original notes, plus the next one, which is a repeating first note. So this is an octave, and a piano can have as much as 5 or 7 or 8 octaves. Not really 8, but 7. So the logic behind this is you actually could very well have your piano keyboard like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, okay? You could have an octave, and then it would repeat itself, yeah? And that would be an octave. Why isn't it the case? Why do we have it like that? There are actually many reasons behind that, and one of which is the nature of the musical physics and the psychoacoustics which we are evolved to as humans. So actually, these are the 7 notes that you play, but if you were to play all the 12 notes, it would sound like this. Do you hear that it actually sounds very peculiar? And the way the piano is made like this, it's not at all accidental, because if you play only the white notes, you have a very pleasant succession of notes. And that is because different notes have different quality to them, as colors, for example. Different notes are different colors. Some are more striking, some are more calm. And if we play the black notes, so we play the white notes, these are the whites, and then I play a black. Did you hear how sudden it was? Did you hear how kind of dissonant it was? That is exactly the concept behind it, that each of those 12 notes actually have its own sound. And this is the concept behind our series of apps for musical learning. Because actually, Many people go to music schools as kids, or even in universities. They learn to play the instrument, they learn to play the notes, and yet they don't really hear this concept. They don't really hear the music. They don't really play the music, because actually you don't need notes. You don't need written music to play music. The same way you don't need text to speak. Many people in the world speak, but they can't read or write. And the same is with music, because music is actually the very fact that you hear all those notes differently is because we as humans evolved to experience music, and it goes even deeper than our speech, because some animals also have musical sense. Maybe all of them, the more intelligent ones. Anyway, in order for you to maximize your understanding and your progress, to use these apps that we provided you with, there are a couple of concepts that you really need to understand to make it as efficient as possible. So, as you see in the keyboard, you have 12 notes. Yeah? These are 12 notes. But if you say, go like I played all of them 12s, you go from this note to this note, then to this note, to this note, this, and here, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, and this. So there's actually a pattern in this. And this pattern goes like this. This is called a whole tone. Okay? Each time you go from a white key to a black key, or between the white keys where there is no black key, this is a semitone. Okay? So when you actually are playing only white keys, starting from the key of C, the note of C, I suppose you already know that there are notes that are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C again, and then they repeat. So if you start from C, you actually go like this: tone, okay, then tone, okay, semitone, tone, okay, tone, okay, tone, semitone. This is actually a very important concept, as there are a lot of different considerations about this. But for now, you actually just need to understand this much. That actually, if we're talking about notes, we are talking about these building blocks that are like this. Okay? So these are all the notes there are in musical, in our music as we have it. So this is the C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And this is the C sharp, okay, the C sharp, or D flat. This is the D sharp, or E flat. This is the F sharp, or G flat. This is the G sharp. So the sharp sign, or the flat sign, also called the DS and bemol B, okay? And this is the A sharp and B sharp, B flat. So this just means that these notes, the black notes, they are kind of in the middle. And the way music works, the way music actually works, okay? The way it works is that the way we are as humans evolved to hear it, is that every time we hear music play, it has a certain tonal center. Remember that phrase, tonal center, also known as the tonality, the key of the song. Have you ever heard the phrase, this song is in key C major, or this is in D flat minor? All this means is that any song that you have, apart from the most exotic jazz compositions, they adhere to a certain tonal center. And if we take all the notes there are, every time you play a song, there is a certain key. For example, a song can be in D, or it can be in G. And all the other notes become steps, just as they are steps when you play a C major scale. So here's your C major scale again. But if I were to play the same scale, but starting from D, I would use some of the black keys as well. You hear this is the same scale, but starting from D. And if I played the scale, but only on the white keys, it would sound very different. Do you hear that it's suddenly a different sound? So here you have different scales. The concept of different scales. Each of these sounds, there are a lot of different scales as well. There are a lot of patterns you can play. There are lots of things you can do with this. And what you need to understand now is that actually there's tonal center. I mean, the most important note in the whole composition, the whole music piece that you're playing. And in our series of art, it is also always called 1, also known as the root. And if we take, for example, this note as 1, you get all the other notes. They become also have numbers to them. Okay? Same, and then 1 again. So this is the thing. And if we take this major scale of C, starting from C, the first note, this is the second note, the third note, the first note. Do you hear like the fifth note on the first note, the third note, the fourth note? Do you hear that they actually do sound different? And this difference is what makes music sound emotional, sophisticated, makes it convey different messages. You know. So, what you do with this is you understand the basic principle of all music is that there are only 12 notes that are repeated many times, and every instrument has it differently. But the basic stuff always remains the same. So you have always the key center, the tonal center, the root of the song, and you have all the different notes that have numbers to them. The relationships between the notes can be different. It can be a whole tone. It can be a semitone. It can be a third, as they say. Meaning that from 1 to 3, for example, this relationship is a third. From 1 to 4 is a fourth. From 1 to 5 is a fifth. There are different considerations around this, but you actually don't need to understand it at once. The beauty of our method is now you kind of saw that these issues exist. Now, once you start working with the apps, you will just understand it, just the same way that a child starts speaking, but even easier than that. There are many things in life that are easier done than said. You can't really explain many things. You can try to explain, but it doesn't help until you actually try. So what you have to do with our apps, whatever instrument you play, be it a violin, okay, be it the saxophone or the piano or any other instrument, whatever instrument you play, you always follow the same algorithm, and that is, you get to see the schematic vision of your instrument. You look on the YouTube or ask some teacher or something to give you the basic of making a sound on this instrument, because these are the things that you should see in video format, or someone shows you how to do it. You can make an app to show you how to play. You actually have to look at a video at least. And that is not that hard actually. No instrument is that hard to make a sound. The hard thing is actually to play the notes. So once you kind of are familiar with the basic technique of making the sound of an instrument, and it doesn't have to be perfect at all. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to train weeks, months. You just have to make a sound and make it to repeat it. So once you understand how to make different notes on your instrument, kind of the basic stuff that you see on YouTube, once you are past that, you go to the app, you play the start button, and the app shows you the schematics, where you need to push or what to do to start playing. And you just hear the sound and you just repeat it, push it where the app tells you to. If you don't understand the way the schematics are presented on the app, you go to YouTube and you kind of familiarize yourself a bit with this. But actually, it's pretty straightforward. So you press, for example, on the violin. The app shows you 4 strings, either horizontal or vertical, and it shows you to press here as a 1, and here as a 1. And it sounds one of those 2. You have to understand which one sounds, because you have to play the first one and the second to hear the sound and to choose which one is more similar. So you hear the sound, you repeat it on your real violin. You hear the sound, you repeat it again. After which you get another note automatically after some practice. This would be the 5. Okay. You repeat the process. Either of those 3 notes they play, you repeat them. Then there's the 3 that gets added. Then there is the 4 that gets added. Actually, they are on the same place. Then there are different other notes, and they just are added and you repeat it. You don't have to. And any other instrument is basically the same. If you play a wind this instrument, what you do is you see how the fingering is. You hear the notes, you play it. You hear a different note, you see a different fingering, you play the different fingering. And then you hear different notes that you already practiced, and you try to repeat them. So it's not that hard. So in the end, you will get, whatever instrument you are, the stage that you are kind of in the middle. Maybe it's not the maximum level, but you kind of, half an hour a day, after 3 days, you kind of get to like higher middle levels. And at this point, you will actually be very surprised at yourself, because at this point you will be playing violin, and at this point, or any instrument that you're playing, and at this point you could very well play any melody, not any melody, but many melodies that you hear. You can kind of try to recreate it, and you will be able to do just that. And what is playing an instrument if not that? Of course, you can be more technical, faster. You can play different scales. You can learn all that, and actually our apps allow you to learn all that, because the more you practice, the more you understand, the more difficult level you are able to take. And these things, they kind of grow inside of you. They kind of interconnect without you even knowing about this. You just kind of get a general understanding that if I play like this, it sounds like this, and all those relationships between notes, like this from here to here. Is it how this sounds, how this sounds, how this sounds. You kind of learn it as you go. The more you practice, the more you know. It's like driving a car. You don't consciously understand all the things that are going on. You just look and you just make note subconsciously. And next time you see the same thing, you already know it. You know what to do. That's the same concept about this. And it doesn't have to be too difficult. It doesn't have to be too long to master. So I wish you all the successes. Also, I would like to introduce you the basic concept of our apps. So our apps are divided in 3 categories. There's a scales app for any instrument you have. There is a general by ear app that goes beyond what mere beginner scales app has to offer. And there's also chords app for those situations, for those instruments where you can play chords. There is also special chords app called jazz, piano chords, or guitar. Just guitar chords. These are very recommended. These are hard to master. These are quite challenging, and also very challenging for experienced musicians. But these are the ones that, once you go beyond the basics, make you into a real sophisticated musician. And the sooner you start those, the bigger progress you will get. Also, there is sight reading. So for every instrument that you have, you will have also an app called sight reading. What it allows you to is to understand the basics of notes, how they sound, how to use them. Once you play with the app, you just play with your fingers or with your real instrument. You'll kind of get familiar with the notes, the way the relationship works between the notes, because all those things I told you about the piano, it is also true for notes. Because if we imagine a vertical piano near the notes, those lines or between the lines. Yeah, this would be the white keys. And if you were to take a black key of the piano, you would do it like this. So you would add a symbol, a sharp or flat, to a note, or you would add those symbols in the beginning. In our apps, you either choose your key before you exercise, and these keys, these signs appear in the before. Either you press and hold any note, and it makes the sign to appear near the note for those higher levels. So the way it all works is that the way these apps are designed is that you really don't need to talk too much, you don't need to think too much, you just need to do the work. You just need to take the time to make the effort and have a little progress every day. This is a truly remarkable method that you actually will have a lot of progress at any level that you are at currently. Even if you are a seasoned musician, you still will get a lot of insight out of these apps, a lot of simplicity, a lot of instant ideas, instant musical hearing improvements, and it just works. First, I didn't even want to make any video about these apps because they're just self-explanatory. But if you have some doubts about them and you don't know what to do, you just kind of understand it with this video. And the whole process is that you go far enough with these apps that after a while you just know what to go to next, because we all live in the internet age. We all can look up all the information. You just get these skills under your fingers, and after that you just do whatever you want. Either you just go grab a song that you want to learn and just learn it first with YouTube, or you take sheet music, you take the theory behind it, kind of the rhythm part of it, and you can learn to play, and you just play the music that you like. But with our apps, all the heavy lifting will already have been done for you, by you, with your exercises. And from there, it will be just a straight ahead way to musical nirvana. So thank you for listening. I wish you all the best and successful music hobbies or even careers, because this is actually appropriate stuff. Because the pros, the exercises that the pros use are not the kind of exercises that you usually will get in musical school. The exercises that the pros use are the simplest, most basic working stuff like scales. And you get the scales with this app from day one of your musical